Here's the quickest guide to Mr. Fantastic in Marvel Rivals. Alright, so let's talk about his passive first. Using any of your abilities will slowly charge up your elasticity, which you can monitor here. At 100 energy, you'll transform into a Rubber Hulk. You gain an absolute massive amount of bonus health and your primary fire hits harder. However, it does reduce your melee range and makes it so that you can't use any of your other abilities while you're in the Rubber Hulk. This right here is what makes Mr. Fantastic super tanky as a duelist. If you do end up needing to use another ability, you can always just get out of Rubber Hulk by pressing F. Mr. Fantastic's primary fire is a super funky melee hit that has a crazy range of 14 meters. There's also a weird mechanic with your melee that we've been calling the double slap. If you miss your target, you can still hit them by whipping your camera quickly to backhand the target. Sometimes this will even hit multiple targets with a single melee, but it's super unreliable, even if it is pretty damn funny. His secondary fire extends his arms to latch onto an enemy, giving you two secondary action options. The first is to click primary fire on the target that you're latched onto, dealing damage and pulling them toward you. The second secondary action is to click primary fire on a separate enemy, dealing damage to both enemies and smashing them into each other. Mr. Fantastic's E ability grabs an enemy or friendly target, deals damage if it's an enemy, and launches Mr. Fantastic towards them and gives himself a bunch of bonus health. This is great for initiating on enemies or quickly using a friendly target to get out of trouble if things go wrong. You get 2 charges of this and the shield stacks, so you should be spamming this as often as possible. His shift ability is real simple but super strong. It gives you a big shield and makes you pretty much invulnerable to any hero ability while it's active. When the shield breaks, you shoot out a little elastic juice that does a portion of the absorbed damage to the enemy target. We tested out a bunch of abilities on this, and most of them seemed to do absolutely nothing to him, but here are 3 that were pretty hilarious. Iron Man's ultimate is one of those that does absolutely nothing and can be partially reflected back to Iron Man, almost killing him. However, Scarlet Witch's ultimate also does nothing to him. But the funniest one of all is that Jeff's ultimate just completely ignores Mr. Fantastic while it's active, which is amazing. Now on to Mr. Fantastic's ultimate. This has to be one of the silliest ultimates I've ever seen in any game. After pressing it, you inflate into a giant rubber ball that bounces and punches anyone he lands on, dealing a good amount of damage actually. He will always bounce at least 3 times, but if you keep hitting targets, he can bounce up to 6 times. His team up ability is an extra action button that gives him a little rechargeable bonus health whenever Invisible Woman is on his team. It seems like a little baby shield, but it actually adds up to be a ton over time. And finally, here's a simple tip to get you started. You'll want to initiate with his E twice to get a giant shield and then just use the Fantastic double slap as often as you can until you become Rubber Hulk. In between that, you use your secondary fire to grip enemies closer and save your shift to counter any enemy abilities and ultimates. And that's pretty much it. Check out the Patreon if you want to support our guides, links in the description.